Prison isn't particularly great for anybody, but for people who are used to a certain lifestyle, the transition into life behind bars can be especially tough.
Here's what life is like for R. Kelly in prison. In August 2019, The Blast reported that R. Kelly's lawyers were petitioning for his release from solitary confinement. According to the gossip site, these lawyers claimed that Kelly had no meaningful interaction with other humans and spent no time outside getting sunlight. Oddly, they also claimed he couldn't buy snacks, even though other inmates were allowed such luxuries. All these claims of unfair treatment were quickly shot down by prosecutors. According to The Blast, they claimed that Kelly had in fact had several cellmates. They also said he was allowed to enjoy downtime a few times a week, even if that downtime wasn't outside. On top of having at least 7 visits and 3 phone calls during his stay, prosecutors claimed, since his arrest, the defendant has purchased items from the commissary, including snacks such as Snickers. MCC staff have taken steps to ensure defendant's safety, and in doing so have treated him with dignity and respect. In August 2020, TMZ reported that R. Kelly had been placed in solitary confinement for his own safety following an attack that took place inside his cell. According to sources, he was sitting on his bed when the inmate walked in and began punching him. The inmate was reportedly upset about a protest staged by the singer's supporters outside the MCC, which were reportedly forcing the facility to go on lockdown. Kelly's lawyer, Steve Greenberg, wasted no time using the attack as a reason to ask for his client's release. He tweeted, "We have not been provided any information from the jail, nor has Mr. Kelly called. Regardless, it is time to release Mr. Kelly. The government cannot ensure his safety, and they cannot give him his day in court. We should not incarcerate people indefinitely because we cannot provide them with due process." Instead, MCC decided to put Kelly in solitary confinement. Greenberg later told Page 6, "That's the only place they can protect him." Following that attack in his cell, Nicole Becker, one of Kelly's lawyers, told the Chicago Sun-Times, "Fear and terror have left him petrified and paranoid. He can't sleep and is now afraid to leave his jail cell during the 2 hours he's permitted daily to venture out. His insomnia is serious. He's even afraid to get his hair cut." Becker told the newspaper that she didn't think Kelly was being treated fairly, explaining that he's stuck in jail and can't get a trial because of the pressure of COVID-19 on the prison system. He can't have contact with the outside world. He lives in a tiny little cell in fear of his own safety, and he suffers from headaches from being beaten up physically. In fact, Becker has defended Kelly in several interviews.
If you're asking me if I've seen the emotional side to him, 100%.
With the eruption?
Absolutely not.
Trying their best to get R. Kelly out of prison, his lawyers have asked for his release a total of 6 times, and they've been denied each time. In September 2020, they petitioned the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, arguing that the singer hadn't been able to prepare for his case for 6 months and should therefore be released. You see, allegedly, R. Kelly can neither read or write.
He doesn't own his publishing. What had happened was somebody either strong-armed him or tricked him. You know, when you can't read or write, you don't know what you're signing.
Why is that important? Speaking to CNN, Kelly's legal team claimed they hadn't been able to meet with their client in person since March due to coronavirus restrictions. And because Kelly can neither read nor write, they claimed he was unable to review documents on his own or provide any feedback whatsoever. In a September 2020 statement, Steve Greenberg told CNN, "He's not a danger or a flight risk, and he is a prime candidate for other inmates to abuse to get jail cred." Ultimately, the court denied Kelly's request, ruling that prosecutors demonstrated clear and convincing evidence that Kelly was a flight risk.
Danny Masterson was a Scientologist, child actor, and Hollywood star, but these days he's better known as inmate number BW7253. It's an epic fall from grace. Before he was sent down, the actor was riding high on the success of his long-running sitcom, That 70s Show, and Netflix comedy The Ranch.
He had like all the hookups. And this was like pre-TMZ, pre-cell phone camera. So you could like go out.
Then, in June 2020, Masterson was charged with 3 counts of rape for sexually assaulting 3 women between 2001 and 2003. Following a mistrial in November 2022, Masterson was convicted in May 23 of raping 2 of the women.
The judge admonished Masterson, saying, quote, "Mr. Masterson, you are not the victim here."
His victims didn't hold back during sentencing. Masterson stood emotionless as the women told the court how he'd ruined their lives. One called him, quote, "pathetic, disturbed, and completely violent," and another added, "When you raped me, you stole from me." That's what rape is, a theft of the spirit. The judge gave Masterson the maximum possible sentence, 30 years to life. Masterson currently resides at California Men's Colony, or CMC, which is about halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles, and is eligible for parole in June 2042. He will be 66 years old. So, what's prison life like for Masterson? The actor was initially assigned to Corcoran State Prison in Central California, a high-security facility. But after just 2 weeks, he was relocated to a medium and minimum security prison. A source told Deadline that Masterson was moved due to concerns over the inmates' well-being. Life will undoubtedly be easier for him at CMC. Masterson is housed in a dormitory within the prison's West facility, which is split into 4 separate units, E, F, G, and M. CMC was originally built to be a hospital, but was taken over by the Army, which built 60 barracks buildings in 1954. A further 20 were later added, and it's currently undergoing further building and renovation work. There's plenty on offer to keep Masterson from getting bored. Residents are provided with a range of educational, therapeutic, and self-improvement programs, including cognitive behavior therapy and substance abuse education. In addition, classes on culinary arts, criminal thinking, anger management, family relationships, and assorted trades are offered. There's also a designated K-9 unit where residents train dogs to be first responders, PTSD, and disability service animals. According to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation website, CMC is committed to providing its inmate population with meaningful rehabilitative resources in order to ensure the men who are released from CMC have the opportunity to rejoin society as peaceful, productive citizens. Masterson will have plenty of opportunities to remain in contact with any friends and family who still speak to him. The prison allows inmates to make video and audio calls, send emails, write and receive letters, and enjoy in-person and video visits from loved ones. Masterson will also have the chance to earn some money, although his paycheck will be significantly lower than what he's used to, given that inmates currently earn less than 74 cents an hour. Still, the actor will be able to toil away in either CMC's glove, clothing, and shoe factories, printing plant, knitting mill, equipment maintenance facility, or warehouse.
But not only they come ready to work, they learn trades in printing and graphic arts and manufacturing.
It's certainly a step up from Masterson's previous digs. He was initially housed in the Level 4 Maximum Security Housing Unit, or SHU, at Corcoran. According to that facility's website, the unit holds, quote, inmates whose conduct endangers the safety of others or the security of the institution. Masterson was likely placed in SHU due to his celebrity status, combined with the sexual nature of his crimes, which made him a potential target for attacks by other inmates. And protection is something not to be sniffed at behind bars. Like the majority of today's prisons, California's facilities operate above capacity, and the overcrowding, staff shortages, and severity of crimes make them dangerous places to be.
Flirting with guards, prison tattoos, Jodi Arias went to prison for murdering her ex-boyfriend. Here's what her life is like now. Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander met at a work conference in Las Vegas in September 2006 and formed an instant connection upon meeting. In addition to being attracted to Alexander's strong work ethic and adventurous nature, Arias was also inspired by Alexander's devout Mormonism and was baptized by him into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in November 2006. After some months of getting to know one another, the couple began dating in February 2007, and the relationship seemed positive at first.
He's just a guy everyone liked. He was easy to get along with.
By June 2007, the couple split, but they continued to meet up on a regular basis, which ultimately fostered a toxic relationship between the two. When Alexander began showing interest in other women, Arias grew increasingly jealous and acted out by harassing his love interest, slashing his tires, and showing up at his home unannounced. These actions led many of Alexander's friends to label Arias as obsessive and voice concerns about her turning violent towards him. On June 4th, 2008, days before Alexander was set to leave for a work trip to Cancun with his new girlfriend, Arias showed up at his home. The two took suggestive photos, had sex, and afterward, Alexander began showering. As he showered, Arias took more pictures of him, then violently stabbed him 27 times and shot him in the head. Friends tragically discovered Alexander's body 5 days later. Though she later tried to testify that she was acting in self-defense, Arias was convicted of first-degree murder. Following Travis Alexander's murder, Arias attempted to appear helpful in the investigation and volunteered her fingerprints and DNA to detectives. Despite her efforts, Arias' DNA was all over the crime scene, making her the prime suspect. During her interrogation and subsequent trial, Arias changed her story multiple times. She first claimed that she hadn't seen Alexander on the day of his murder, then alleged that Alexander was abusive and she killed him in self-defense.
How about when you cut his throat? Were you crying then?
I don't know.
Due to the incriminating physical evidence and her inconsistent statements, a jury found Arias guilty of first-degree murder, and she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her troubles did not end after her sentencing, however. Details from Arias's inmate file and her own courtroom testimony revealed that she has received a number of death threats in jail from other inmates. According to the Arizona NBC affiliate 12 News, one such threat came in the form of a letter addressed to Arias that stated an inmate was going to bribe another inmate to harm her. On another occasion, Arias told a corrections officer that an inmate threatened to kill her the same way she killed Alexander. Despite the threats, Arias can interact with inmates outside her cell. Following her conviction, Jodi Arias was first placed in the maximum security Lumley unit of the Arizona State Prison Complex in Perryville, Arizona. The Arizona Republic reported that the jail cells are made of solid steel and concrete and include basics like a sink, toilet, bed, and desk. In addition to its furnishings, each cell has a slot to receive food. In an interview with Radar Online, rapper Kareem Lefty Williams explained that Arias was like a little sister to him, and said of his visits with the convict, "When we have our conversations, it is like she's being held in a dog cage. It looks very inhumane." Arias stayed in the Lumley unit for 2 years before she was transferred to a different unit, where she's allowed to share a cell with another inmate and socialize with other inmates outside of her cell. Since her infamous time in the spotlight, Arias has become notorious for extensively caring about her appearance and image. In a number of interviews after her arrest for the murder of Travis Alexander, she was captured carefully applying makeup before she believed the cameras were rolling, since makeup products were not often provided to her behind bars. Even when she found out during her police interrogation that she was going to be arrested, Arias went as far as to ask the detective if she could do her makeup before she was handcuffed and booked.
Don't roll the tape yet.
Outside of being incredibly keen about doing her facial presentation, Arias has also been known for putting effort into the appearance of her hair, which actually has indirectly gotten her in trouble in prison. According to 12 News' 2018 report, Arias had a single disciplinary infraction on her inmate file, which detailed an incident in which the convict was frustrated because she was not able to get a haircut from her preferred hairdresser. When the prison official explained this to her, Arias allegedly called the individual an offensive name and was written up for her behavior and poor choice of words. Before Jodi Arias was convicted of the cold-blooded crime, she was once described as beautiful, friendly, and sweet by a friend of Travis Alexander. Arias used the same persona and charm in prison, according to former inmates who were friends with her.
There were a couple officers, she would flirt with.
Her actions didn't stop with smiles and winks, though. According to a cellmate, Donovan Baring, Arias was openly sexual and would often pose in suggestive positions to get on the good side of both the guards and inmates. Speaking to the television station Arizona's Family, Baring said as much, adding that Arias had privileges other inmates couldn't access.
Well, she was very sexual, very sensual, so she would always pose in certain ways. She got a lot of stuff that most inmates didn't get.
Whether or not Arias's flirtatious efforts worked in her favor remains to be seen. But this behavior does give a glimpse into the depths of how she has attempted to get her way, even in the most restrictive and regimented environment.
She's a sociopath.
Among Jodi Arias' many self-proclaimed talents, like her long-held passion for photography, the convict is also skilled in singing, which she put on display while in jail in December 2010. While she was awaiting trial for the murder of Travis Alexander, Arias participated in a Christmas-themed singing contest at the Maricopa County Jail. Competing against 50 other inmates, Arias sang the traditional Christmas song "O Holy Night" in front of a judging panel and ultimately took first place in the competition. Arias' rendition of the Christmas classic was deemed so good that it was played across televisions throughout the jail on the holiday. For her efforts, she won a stuffed stocking and a nearly complete Christmas dinner of turkey, mashed potatoes, and cookies. The dinner was also shared with Arias' cellmates, which was reportedly a delight given how bad the food at the jail was. The meals in prison are often considered some of the most stomach-churning food out there. Designed to meet the very basic nutritional needs of each prisoner and made in bulk, prison food has the potential to be downright terrible. Arias, in contrast to the overwhelming opinion held by many inmates, has shared that the food in prison is pretty average and compared it to hospital food when talking to Kareem Lefty Williams, saying, "It's not bad, it's just not great." In the 2016 recorded phone conversation obtained by Radar Online between Arias and Williams, she revealed that dinners typically consist of cold sandwiches, while meals on the weekends are prepared hot. She said during the phone call, "We had chicken fajitas here tonight. Really good. A big old pile of caramelized onions, some bell peppers, like all the works." Breakfasts also include biscuits and gravy, while lunches consist of peanut butter sandwiches with fruit. For holidays, Arias, like her fellow inmates, sometimes receive special meals. For example, Radar Online reported that for Christmas dinner in 2019, Arias got a meal complete with roast beef, brown gravy, mashed potatoes, bread dressing, vegetables, and a dinner roll. While in prison, Arias has taken up a number of different hobbies to pass the time, which include tattooing her friends and making art. According to an interview for a Lifetime documentary with Arias' former cellmate Tracy Brown, the convicted killer would use crushed-up lead from a pencil, mascara, and a makeshift needle to tattoo other inmates and make money while serving her sentence. The tools and supplies needed to conduct the forbidden tattoo sessions were never discovered by prison guards because Brown alleged that Arias' flirtatious and charming personality made them look the other way.
He was a very attractive young girl who liked to flirt.
In addition to the tattoos Arias designed, she also created several pieces of hand-drawn original artwork. The inmate has a website, Art by Jodi Arias, with a shop for interested buyers to purchase prints and postcards of her completed art pieces. The pieces include nature landscapes, portraits, animals, and more. Prices range from $28 to $39, and the money from the sales is reinvested into Art by Jodi Arias, donated to nonprofit organizations, and put toward legal actions like appeals. June 2024 will be the 16th anniversary of Travis Alexander's death, and while the victim will forever be 30 years old, Arias continues to get older in prison. The convict will turn 44 years old in July 2024 and will spend the rest of her life behind bars, living with the consequences of her actions. She works as a library aide and continues to make artwork that is sold online. In the media, Arias was the subject of a 2013 Lifetime movie, Jodi Arias, Dirty Little Secret, and a 2021 Discovery Plus documentary, If I Can't Have You, a Jodi Arias story, and endless TV crime specials. She has also received support from individuals who believe she is innocent. In 2019, news outlets reported that Arias had a boyfriend, Benjamin Ernst, whom she tried to marry so they could secure contact and visitation privileges that she lost in 2016. Alexander's family has remained out of the spotlight since the sensationalized trial came to an end. Friends of Alexander, Chris and Sky Hughes, wrote and published a book in his memory, Our Friend Travis, The Travis Alexander Story, in 2015.
Dangerous heat, little sleep, and hard work. Todd Chrisley's life of luxury is over. But is he doing better behind bars than we might think? Todd Chrisley will spend the next decade doing time for his money laundering crimes at the federal prison camp in Pensacola. Chrisley won't be enjoying much privacy as the inmates are all assigned to multi-man rooms by the counselors. According to the prison's handbook, he may one day graduate to bottom bunk status based on seniority, a shocking contrast to the life he once lived.
This is my closet.
Whenever he does make it to the bottom bunk, he may not be getting the best sleep. According to the facility's rules, Chrisley is subjected to official inmate counts during weekdays, which take place at 12 a.m., 2 a.m., and 4:30 a.m., with at least 3 more throughout the day. Following their weekday work duties, the inmates are offered intramural sports, music, and craft making, as well as weekly screened movies. Long gone are Chrisley's designer clothes, and in its place are sets of green standard-issue prison garments. The reality star does, however, have the opportunity to take work assignments off-site at nearby naval and Air Force bases as outlined in the handbook. If Navy dress blues aren't his style, Chrisley can opt for prison jobs that include food service, sanitation, maintenance, health services, or education. From reality television family patriarch to prison president, it's not exactly the turn of events that Todd Chrisley was probably expecting. But according to his daughter, Savannah Chrisley, he's rolling with the punches. On a September 2023 episode of The Vile Files, the former pageant queen revealed that her father has quite a few friends in prison. Savannah admitted that Todd is in the company of some high-profile prisoners, including Rick Singer, the mastermind behind the Varsity Blues college admission scandal. The former reality star has also reportedly developed a fan club of sorts during his time behind bars. After saying that she always meets a slew of different people when she visits him, she joked,
and they come through and they're like clapping his hands, like they're like he's like the president of this place.
Despite his popularity, Todd doesn't get to reap any benefits of the social ladder. He's still subjected to the same standard as the rest of his fellow inmates at the Pensacola prison, regardless of his fame. And according to his son, Chase Chrisley, it's not pretty.
They're both in states where it gets 100+ degrees and there's no air conditioning.
The Pensacola prison where Todd is serving his sentence is anything but a maximum security facility. In fact, Savannah Chrisley compared the federal prison camp to something like a sleepaway camp on an episode of The Vial Files.
I mean, it's considered like a camp, like the lowest possible that you can be in. So it's like adult babysitting.
Being the reality star that he is, Savannah admitted that her father has faced backlash for spreading the news of life inside FPC. She told the Daily Mail, "There's already retaliation happening because of how I'm exposing things. If it means we make a change for the greater good, then they're willing to be uncomfortable." Todd will have to get through a lot more uncomfortable years as he awaits a decision on the appeal of his sentencing. The reality star's attorney spoke to Fox News Digital about the unfortunate living conditions he faces, which included an invasion of privacy. His attorney told Fox, "Someone was allowed to take a photo of him while he was sleeping, and this is a result of his celebrity status." Todd Chrisley has had limited contact with his wife, Julie Chrisley, since they both reported to their separate prison sentences at the beginning of 2023. Savannah Chrisley admitted her father relies on his children to keep up communication. While he hasn't been able to verbally speak to his wife, he does manage to call home to his kids a few times a day. On the Vial Files podcast, Savannah admitted she talks with her dad on average twice a day.
And then what do you guys talk about?
Like, whatever we have going on, what my plans are for the day, the BS that's going on there, the kids.
Savannah admitted that while she believes her father is doing his best to shield his kids from all the details of prison life, she's using her platform to bring awareness to changes she believes need to be made.
Of all of this, I've taken it as an opportunity to make a difference, be outspoken because I have a platform.
Todd Chrisley may not have hair dye at his disposal in federal prison, but he does have his very own barber. On an August 2023 episode of Unlocked, Savannah admitted her father has had to make do with changes in his hairstyle while serving time. The podcast host explained that the press had criticized her father for not taking care of his looks, to which she responded, "They don't sell hair color in commissary, so of course his hair is gray. But you know what? I would tell him today, if he was out, keep it that way, it looks good." Todd has even found a trusted barber at the prison. Savannah went on to explain, "He's got a great prison barber. He's this Puerto Rican guy. He's very kind. He's got tattoos from his face down." While she's gotten used to her father's new look, Savannah admitted it was a bit shocking to see her father sporting a more rugged look. Just a month after he reported to prison, Savannah admitted on her Unlocked podcast that seeing her father in prison took some getting used to.
He's definitely used some color over the years, and now seeing him with gray hair, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really weird.
My dad looks.
As the star of Chrisley Knows Best, Julie Chrisley seemed to have it all. Money, fame, and even more money. So how is she holding up behind bars? From sweltering heat to poisonous snakes, Chrisley's prison life is definitely an adjustment. In June 2022, Todd and Julie Chrisley were convicted on multiple federal fraud charges, including bank fraud and tax evasion. They were sentenced to prison that November. Julie Chrisley is serving her sentence in Kentucky at Federal Medical Center Lexington, a facility that houses around 1,300 inmates. Long gone is the reality star's expensive wardrobe as she traded her designer clothes for a prison-issued matching khaki top and bottoms. As far as jewelry goes, the Chrisley Knows Best star is allowed to wear a simple wedding band, but not much else, as all jewelry with stones is prohibited. While she was once paid to entertain, the TV personality now has her pick between jobs in food service, maintenance shops, or possibly even a factory position, according to the inmate handbook. We sure hope those prison outfits are breathable because Julie Chrisley's prison cell allegedly isn't designed to withstand the summer heat. On a July 2023 episode of Savannah Chrisley's Unlocked podcast, she was joined by her brother Chase to dish out all the details of their parents' prison conditions. Chase said on the podcast, "It's a nightmare. They're both in states where it gets 100+ degrees and there's no air conditioning." The Chrisley siblings went on to defend their mother and said there should be better living conditions at FMC Lexington. Chase added,
"If you're in a government facility, you should have air conditioning."
While he compared their mother's prison experience to Fear Factor, Savannah reminded her brother, "I mean, Chase, it is prison, so we're not going to sit here and act like it should be the Four Seasons." In response to their very public complaints, a Bureau of Prisons spokesperson told CNN that the FMC Lexington is following standard protocol. Julie Chrisley is allegedly getting a lot more than just human visitors in prison. On that same episode of the Unlocked podcast, Savannah Chrisley claimed that her mum had spotted snakes in her cell. She said on the podcast,
"She just had snakes literally right there where her bed is."
Savannah also revealed that her mother is allegedly facing other poor conditions in the jail cell. Savannah noted,
"Air conditioning is the least of it. Whenever you've got black mold, asbestos, lead-based paint."
Of what they dubbed anecdotal allegations, a spokesperson for the Bureau of Prisons stated to CNN, "For privacy, safety and security reasons, we do not comment on the conditions of confinement for any specific adult in custody, AIC or group of AICs." The Chrisleys have a long road in front of them, and with Todd Chrisley serving his time in Florida's federal prison camp Pensacola, Julie has had to rely on her children to help her get through her own isolating experience in Kentucky. On a May 2023 episode of her Unlocked podcast, Savannah Chrisley detailed how her mother was coping behind bars and admitted that it's been a grueling process for the matriarch. Savannah said, "It's definitely harder on her, I think, than it is my dad, but she's just staying busy." Savannah also said she believes her mum may be trying to shield certain details to protect her, adding that her mum avoids divulging too much on her recorded calls home. Savannah explained, "You have to be careful how you step. You don't want any repercussions for saying something in there, and so she just kind of sticks to herself." Furthermore, Savannah mentioned that her mother's first holidays in prison were especially tough on her, saying, "I think it was also looking at his birthday and thinking, how many more birthdays are going to pass that we don't get to be together?" Julie and Todd Chrisley are apparently left with little to no contact with each other while serving their time behind bars. Due to the slow communication system between their respective prisons in Kentucky and Florida, Savannah Chrisley has revealed that her parents aren't able to speak to each other. Savannah told the Daily Mail in September 2023, "They're emailing a little bit. What's unfortunate is you have people in these prisons who are holding their mail."
They've been together almost 30 years. God. They were together 24/7, and they've gone now 8 months without speaking.
Despite her letters not making it to her husband, Julie has luckily been able to send dozens of letters home to her children. Savannah admitted on her Unlocked podcast, "I don't think there's a single letter that goes by that she does not say how much she misses my dad." Despite their limited contact, Savannah detailed how her parents are instead keeping themselves busy. She told the Daily Mail in 2023, "They may be working on books, they may, who knows, but they are definitely documenting every little thing that goes on. Whether it's tell-all memoirs or a return to reality television, one thing is for sure, this married pair will have quite the story to tell."
Everyone always wants an update on how mom and dad are doing, and they're doing fine.
They're doing as good as they can,
Exactly.
I guess.
Julie Chrisley was originally handed a 7-year sentence for her part in the federal tax evasion and bank fraud charges. While both she and her husband were shipped off to prison in January 2023, the couple did get a bit of good news while serving time behind bars. That September, the Chrisleys' attorney, Jay Sargent, told Entertainment Weekly that both of their sentences were reduced. Julie's total time dropped to 5 years, while Todd's was reduced to 10 years from the original 12. Sargent went on to add that the couple also qualified under the First Step Act for their model behavior as inmates, which could reduce their sentences even further.
From icon to outcast, Jared Fogle fell hard. So how could his life in prison possibly have fed his ego? Apparently it has. In November 2015, Jared Fogle received a prison sentence of 15 years and 8 months, with the stipulation that he wouldn't be eligible for parole until after 13 years had been served. Fogle is currently incarcerated in the Federal Correctional Institution, Inglewood, a low-security prison based in Littleton, Colorado. The small facility houses fewer than 900 inmates near the Rocky Mountains in Denver. Throughout his time at Inglewood, Fogle will be prepared for his eventual release, with the prison placing an important focus on rehabilitating its inmates. During his incarceration, Fogle will have access to the commissary, where inmates can buy any items they may need, such as postage stamps and over-the-counter medications. Each prisoner's spending is capped at $360 per month, and inmates are only allowed to shop for goods between Monday and Thursday of each week. Inmates can also access digital content, including movies, TV shows, and music, via the prison's TrueLinks system.
When you have a system you can go to that's positive, it changes your perception. I'll focus more on staying out of trouble.
This allows individuals to send emails, make phone calls, access medical records, and check their finances. Despite serving his sentence in a low-security facility, Jared Fogle's time behind bars hasn't necessarily been a breeze. The former Subway representative opened up about his experiences in prison in a letter he sent to Brenna Firkins, a woman he had a relationship with. In March 2016, Fogle wrote, "It's been a very hard 9 months for me." Fogle also downplayed the crimes for which he had been convicted, writing, "I made a couple of mistakes, but nothing like the media reports have said. They're making me into some sort of monster, which is absolutely not true." Fogle also appeared to reignite a romance with Firkins. After asking if she was romantically involved with anyone else, he revealed that he'd wanted to contact her for a long time, and he seemed to leave the door open for a relationship. Firkins, however, had no intention of becoming Fogle's girlfriend, telling Fox 59, "I kind of felt bad for him, and I wrote him to see how he was doing, and he wrote me back and sent this letter that was kind of horrifying." Following Jared Fogle's incarceration at Inglewood, rumors surfaced regarding how the former Subway spokesperson was spending his time. In March 2016, TMZ spoke to a source in the same prison as Fogle, who claimed that the ex-celebrity was using his food experience to his advantage. According to the source, Fogle graduated from making food for his fellow inmates to preparing meals for the prison staff. If true, it would seem that Fogle acquired a trusted position early on in his prison term. Fogle's past promotion of Subway has also reportedly made him the butt of multiple jokes.
Later, big guy.
In an interview with People magazine, prison consultant Larry Levine alleged the prison guards made Jared work the line, so he was serving the sandwiches to the other inmates. They were all razzing him as they went down the sandwich line, going, "Thanks for the 6-inch, ass." Meanwhile, the nephew of one of Fogle's fellow prisoners told the publication that the Subway pitchman had turned to food while locked up, which led to significant weight gain. While those 2016 reports suggested that Jared Fogle had gained weight in prison, he had appeared to have gotten his health in order by 2021. In a letter acquired by the New York Post, Fogle discussed his eating habits behind bars, writing, "I try to avoid too much junk food. I snack on granola bars and protein bars. I feel really good physically and mentally." Alongside eating well, Fogle embarked on a stealth fitness routine, which has likely kept him busy during his prison sentence. He wrote, "I run 4 to 5 miles every day and am the most healthy and in shape I've ever been. We don't have a lot of control over our daily lives in prison, but working out is one of the things I can control." Since Inglewood is a low-security prison, inmates have some privileges that wouldn't be available to prisoners in higher-security facilities. Speaking to the Daily Mail, Mark Brooks, a former inmate at Inglewood, revealed that he had been shocked to discover the range of facilities available to inmates. He told the outlet, "I couldn't even believe it was a prison. It's more like a daycare than a prison." Brooks also compared the prison to a vacation destination and suggested that inmates are able to occupy their time with a range of activities each day. He said, "It's like Club Fed. They've got a movie theater, a fully equipped gym with weights, ellipticals, stairmasters, cable weights. Outside they have a baseball field, tennis court, soccer field, horseshoe pits, a bocce ball court, and cornhole."
I have lost 123 straight games of cornhole, and I have never felt more alive.
In its handbook, Inglewood notes the importance of rehabilitating prisoners from the first day they arrive at the facility. After being sentenced to just over 15 years in prison in November 2015, Fogle had a lot of time to think. In a personal letter written in 2021, Fogle revealed that he'd been reevaluating his decisions, having been convicted of possessing child sexual abuse material and for traveling to have sex with a minor. In the letter, he wrote, "I really royally screwed up to wind up where I am. I was selfish and entitled." He also made reference to all of the people who had been affected by his crimes. Fogle, who reportedly once had a net worth of $15 million, continued, "I really miss the small things like walking barefoot on carpet, sleeping on a nice comfy mattress, eating with real silverware, having access to a microwave. All I can do is learn from my mistakes to be a better man when I get released in a few years." Jared Fogle may have detailed some of the more enjoyable aspects of prison life in his correspondence, but the former Subway spokesman also experienced some trouble behind bars. In January 2016, just months after beginning his sentence at Inglewood, Fogle was attacked by 60-year-old prisoner Stephen Nig. People magazine spoke to Nig's brother, who said, "He had to hit Fogle. That's how the whole thing started. He just can't be around child molesters. He doesn't like them." Fogle was reportedly punched in the face several times. For attacking Fogle, Nig was forced to spend 10 days in solitary confinement. In 2023, Nig finally discussed his decision to attack Fogle, telling Westword, "He has such an ego problem, and he's so arrogant. That's one of the reasons I just lost it." Josh Duggar's life forever changed when he was found guilty on child abuse material charges in 2021. So how is the former reality star faring behind bars? From limited contact with his family to solitary confinement, Duggar's prison life is not easy. The rise and fall of the Duggar family has captivated millions. The 19 Kids and Counting stars once attracted a huge TLC audience. And then their world came crashing down around them. Viewers eventually learned that not all was as it seemed, as the double life of many members was exposed and scandal tore their family apart. The major turning point came when Josh Duggar admitted to sexually abusing girls as a teenager, including his own sisters, Jill and Jessa Duggar. His family stood by him as he apologized, which stirred up major controversy and hate.
Josh has done some very bad things.
Eventually, Josh's demons caught up with him and his family in a big way when he was found guilty on child sexual abuse material charges in 2021 and was sentenced to more than 12 years behind bars. While Josh Duggar awaited sentencing following his guilty verdict, he was temporarily placed in Washington County Jail in Arkansas. Shortly after his sentencing, Duggar was sent to Federal Correctional Institution, Seagoville, outside of Dallas in June of 2022. Judge Timothy Brooks said it was the right fit because it offered a good sex offender program, according to In Touch. Once there, Duggar was assigned to an available bed in either a dormitory or a smaller room that contained storage, beds, a folding chair, and a laundry bag, according to In Touch. As the outlet learned, he would have been given sheets, a blanket, pillow, and towels, as well as 5 shirts and pants, 5 sets of underwear and socks, 1 pair of shoes, and a belt. In Touch also discovered that Duggar would have to follow a series of strict rules. For one, beds have to be made in a tight military style. Windows and furniture must be cleaned daily, and all inmates need to wear clean, wrinkle-free clothes. They're reportedly given 3 meals a day, plus a coffee break. As for lights out, the daily curfew is 11 p.m., except on Fridays and Saturdays, when inmates can stay up until 1:30 a.m. In February 2023, Josh Duggar discovered firsthand what happens when you break the rules at FCI Seagoville, when he was placed in solitary confinement for using a contraband cell phone. As the Sun learned, that meant his visitation rights would be restricted or completely forbidden, and he'd only get 1 phone call a month. A family member of a fellow inmate told the outlet that Duggar would likely stay there for months. As for how he got the device in the first place, an inmate's family member told blogger Katie Joy of Without a Crystal Ball that guards sell phones to inmates for between $2,200 and $2,500. Duggar apparently couldn't afford that much, so he rented it from someone and used it to call his wife, Anna. The source added that Josh told Anna it was illegal and to keep the information secret, which she did, before his plan ultimately backfired. While Josh Duggar has come to terms with his new reality, he has kept a small piece of his old life thanks to regular visits from Anna and their kids. Despite the 5.5-hour drive she has to make from Arkansas, she's been a regular fixture at FCI Seagoville. Initially, as COVID-19 protocols remained in place, Josh was only allowed to be visited by 2 adults, or an adult and a child over 5, so he couldn't see his whole family at once. What's more, Radar learned they couldn't hug and would have to communicate through a plexiglass barrier. However, as of January 2023, things had changed. A source told The Sun, partners are allowed to have a kiss and a hug at the beginning and the end of visitation. The number of visitors was also up to 5, and because their children are so young, Anna is allowed to come with all 7 kids. It may seem unlikely that Anna Duggar would ever divorce Josh Duggar, but according to numerous sources, his incarceration is taking a real toll on her. An insider told In Touch in 2023, she took her wedding vows seriously, and she wants to stand by her man and all that. But the reality of her situation is very difficult. Divorce is not something she wants, but she'd be lying if she said she hasn't questioned her future with Josh.
When your world is shattered, there are a lot of emotions that you have to walk through.
Their potential future together isn't being helped by the fact that Anna distanced herself from Josh's family after several members spoke out against him, including Ginger Duggar Volo and Jill Duggar Dillard. A source told In Touch that Anna felt betrayed by their actions. Jump to June 2023 and things only became more strained when Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar reportedly kicked Anna and her 7 kids off their property, according to The Sun. As reported by In Touch, Duggar's release date was initially set for August 12, 2032, meaning he'd served just over 10 years behind bars. Although it wasn't made clear why his sentence was slightly shortened, the time he spent in an Arkansas facility following his guilty verdict may have played a role. Whatever the reasoning, in March of 2023, Josh Duggar's sentence was extended by almost 2 months while he was in solitary confinement. As Fox News reported, his release date was pushed to August 22, 2032, then to October 2, 2032. It was then extended for a third time to October 10, 2033. The reality star has tried and failed to appeal his conviction numerous times. In August 2023, his third appeal, in which his lawyers called for a new trial, was denied. Duggar has a long road ahead of him, and he won't be fully free once he leaves jail. As The Sun notes, the terms of his sentence dictate that he'll be supervised by a parole officer for 20 years following his release.
She's plotting an appeal and planning her next chapter, but in the meantime, Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell is getting used to a life behind bars. Giving up her aristocratic lifestyle wasn't easy for Ghislaine Maxwell. Before arriving at Federal Correctional Institution, Tallahassee, she was first shipped off to Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, where she spent 22 months in solitary confinement awaiting her sentencing. She reportedly logged over 100 complaints about her living conditions there, including being fed inedible food, being filmed in the shower without consent, and being handcuffed to a chair while watching TV. Maxwell's attorneys also alleged that she feared for her life after a fellow inmate threatened to strangle her in her sleep. They also claimed that she was subjected to the lights being constantly turned on in her cell throughout the day and night, as well as a flashlight being shone in her eyes every 15 minutes to prevent her from taking her own life. Prosecutors replied by positing that Maxwell was to blame for her inadequate living conditions. In a letter to the court, they stated, among other things, MDC staff noted that the defendant frequently did not flush her toilet after using it, which caused the cell to smell. After being sentenced to 20 years for 5 federal charges related to sex trafficking crimes, Maxwell was transferred to FCI Tallahassee.
It's behind the high walls and the barbed wire of Florida's Tallahassee Federal Correctional Institution.
According to the Zukis Consulting Group, sex offenders and other inmates with a high likelihood of being attacked can freely mix and mingle with the rest of the female inmates at FCI Tallahassee. One of the most notable inmates at the prison besides Maxwell is Colleen LaRose, who was sentenced to 10 years after conspiring to provide material support to terrorists, among other charges. A majority of inmates at the Florida prison reportedly consider the level of violence at the minimum security prison to be moderate to low. As one of them claimed, due to the inmate population's age being so young, I would peg it as a 5 to 7 out of 10 for safety. It's not 100% safe, but the staff manages it very well. Ghislaine Maxwell's prison hobbies include catching up on reading. She reportedly starts her day at 5 a.m. with a humble breakfast before beginning her prison detail. She spends 6 hours a day working in the prison library, where she's known to recommend history books and other literature to her fellow inmates. As a source revealed to the Daily Mail in 2022, so far there have been no complaints about her. She's polite, she's well-behaved, she goes to work on time every day. If you ask her for a book in the library, she will find whatever it is you need. The general opinion of her is that she's a nice lady. After a rough start to her life in prison, Maxwell seems to have accepted her fate. As a former inmate at FCI Tallahassee told the Daily Mail, now she has some friends and is eating more. She's bubbly, you see her smiling. She makes a point of saying good morning. You can see she's visibly more comfortable. Ghislaine Maxwell has reportedly also made an effort to maintain her figure since she began her sentence, which includes running laps at FCI Tallahassee's outdoor track before starting her job at the library. Sources have even told The Mirror that she beats younger women in races during the prison's recreation hours, even though she's over 60 years old. As one insider revealed in 2022, Ghislaine is incredibly fit. She runs almost every day, and when not jogging on the track, she will walk with one of her friends. For her age, she is incredibly active and does a 40-minute session completing lap after lap without stopping before she needs to be back inside. FCI Tallahassee also includes a manicured garden, a softball pitch, and a basketball court, an upgrade from Maxwell's time at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. Ghislaine Maxwell's father was media tycoon Robert Maxwell, whose own legacy was tarnished by accusations of fraud. A similar story is now playing out with his daughter, who has gone from socialite to disgraced felon. But her ability to rise to the top of New York's most elite social circles hasn't been lost, as she's reportedly teaching etiquette lessons to her fellow inmates. As a flyer in the prison describes it, taught by Mrs. Maxwell, this course teaches the 3 principles of etiquette, focusing on respect, consideration, and honesty.
I'm here representing civil society.
That element of honesty might seem ironic, considering Maxwell's attempts to avoid detection in the midst of her federal charges. Nevertheless, she reportedly leads her classes twice a week. According to the First Step Act, inmates are allowed to leave prison up to 15 days early by logging attendance during the course. As a source told the Daily Mail in January 2023, Ms. Maxwell's message is, "So what if you're a woman and a convicted felon? You're not a second-class citizen." She's an unlikely role model, but she's very passionate about this. Her courses have even become so popular that they've been translated into Spanish for the prison's Hispanic inmates. Despite her conviction, Ghislaine Maxwell has continuously maintained her innocence. During a January 2023 interview for Talk TV, she disputed the authenticity of the photograph that features her, Prince Andrew, and then 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre. As she put it, "I don't believe it's real for a second. In fact, I'm sure it's not. There's never been an original. And further, there's no photograph. I've only ever seen a photocopy of it."
Prince Andrew's line, of course, is that he doesn't recall ever meeting Virginia Giuffre.
While Maxwell previously appeared remorseful to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, she seems to have since changed her tune. At the time of her sentencing, she acknowledged her role in the scandal, as she reportedly told the court, to you, all the victims who came in court, and those outside, I am sorry for the pain that you experienced." However, after more shocking depositions from Epstein's trial were publicized in 2024, Maxwell has made it clear that she still believes that she is innocent. She has also claimed that she didn't know the full truth about Epstein. As she put it, "I didn't know that he was so awful. I mean, obviously now looking back with hindsight, of course. But at the time, he had lots of friends. He was friendly with just about everybody you could imagine. There was no reason to imagine that he was someone who was capable of evil." Maxwell has managed to make some new friends in prison. As reported by the Daily Mail, one member of her inner circle is Linda Morrow, who helped her plastic surgeon husband defraud up to $44 million from insurance companies by falsely billing cosmetic surgeries as medically necessary to be covered by insurance. And the Mirror reported that Maxwell has also befriended convicted killer Narcy Novak, who received a life sentence after she hired a hitman to kill her millionaire husband and his mother.
She gave him a lap dance. The rest is history.
As a source claimed in 2022, given their ages and millionaire backgrounds, they were always destined to get on well. Together, they spend hours talking, laughing, and joking. Novak has also helped Maxwell avoid bullying from fellow inmates, as she has a no-nonsense reputation. As a source told the Daily Mail in 2022, Novak commands respect. People don't mess with her. Her, Ghislaine, and Linda seem to band together because they are the most high-profile prisoners there. FCI Tallahassee reportedly offers numerous activities for its inmates, including art and ceramics classes. Maxwell has reportedly been attending these classes along with her new friends, Narcy Novak and Linda Morrow. As a source told the Daily Mail in 2022, she and Linda are learning crochet and cross-stitch with Novak. Ghislaine also likes pottery. Maxwell was also voted by her cell block to represent them in the prison's checkers tournament. As the Daily Mail's source revealed, the winning unit gets a really good meal, chicken wings, pizza, that sort of thing. It's much better than the usual food. It's a big deal. Nobody cares what you're in for, so long as you win. Ghislaine Maxwell was used to a life of luxury, but her new reality is dormitory-style cell blocks with no doors. She and her fellow inmates live in 4 large open rooms, complete with bunk beds and small lockers to store possessions. This lack of privacy makes it difficult to avoid negative attention. As a source told the Daily Mail in 2022, they knew her story when she arrived. Some of the girls were jeering at her, calling her a nasty old woman, saying she got what she deserved. The units are basically like a warehouse, so it's hard to escape from that. Maxwell's friendship with Narcy Novak reportedly helps her fly under the radar, as the convicted killer is considered the top dog in their cell block unit. As the block's orderly, she's reportedly in charge of the sleeping arrangements for the inmates in Unit B South. Ghislaine Maxwell took her running regimen to the next level in February 2024 when she participated in the prison's half marathon. 19 inmates ran in the event that had them completing 52 laps around the barbed wire enclosed running track for a total of 13.1 miles. In addition to running, Maxwell has also been staying active with yoga and Pilates classes. Maxwell might have been blowing off some steam as she prepared for her appeal hearing in March 2024. She was previously convicted on 5 counts of sex trafficking for her role in recruiting girls for Jeffrey Epstein's scheme.
Ghislaine Maxwell wants out of prison.
According to court documents obtained by Forbes, Maxwell and her legal team argue that one of her jurors was unfairly allowed to participate in the trial after being a victim of sexual abuse and not disclosing that information. Ghislaine Maxwell has reportedly adopted her late father's Jewish faith, which has allowed her to receive the benefits offered to inmates practicing Judaism. Robert Maxwell was born into an Orthodox Jewish family, though Ghislaine reportedly never publicly identified with the faith before she ended up behind bars. Prisoners identifying as Jewish are allowed more expensive kosher meals, as well as time off on Saturdays to observe the Sabbath. Maxwell can also excuse herself from her prison duties to observe Jewish holidays, and she's allowed to have wine and grape juice in the breaking of the bread. Maxwell was reportedly contacted by the Civil Rights Prisoner Organization, Reaching Out, a group that aims to help Jewish prisoners receive their proper benefits while serving time. A spokesperson for Reaching Out said in August 2023, "Maxwell is in touch with our organization. We have and will continue to address her needs." Ghislaine Maxwell could eventually add author to her resume. As reported by the Daily Mail in February 2024, a tell-all book may be in the works regarding the misinformation she believes exists regarding her relationship with the late Jeffrey Epstein. Sources told the Daily Mail that Maxwell has been advising other inmates not to believe the reports, and that she'd hoped to dispel any hearsay by writing a memoir to expose the truth. She reportedly hopes that a book could clear her name and help throw out the many charges against her. Maxwell has been working in the legal library for her prison detail, where she reportedly keeps a copy of the manuscript. While she's prohibited from accepting a publishing deal, she is allowed to mail a private manuscript to a family member or friend who can release it for her. As the Daily Mail's source claimed, apparently it's already finished, but she is waiting for the right moment to publish it.